What is going on, everybody? It is me, the Viking Weep, and we're back with episode 11 of the Gentlest of Men. I'm here with No Name from No Name Gaming, and we've officially broken the standard today. This is episode 11. Most podcasts die before episode 10. So we did it. We made it. We're here.
Die.
But
But you made it.
we made it. We're here. No
Hopefully you
Name.
heard the
Hey,
clapping.
man, tell me about your
What is up, man?
Thanksgiving. How was it?
Dude, man, I forgave a lot of people. I mean, I gifted a lot of people. Wrong holiday again. Hey man, my Thanksgiving was good. Spent it with some friends that I met. Was a good time. Drinks were had, memories were made. Can't say that I was alone. So it was spent with people that I care about and I enjoyed it. How was yours, man?
I honestly couldn't have said it better. Spent it with my family, and you know how
Lovely.
sometimes you like that, sometimes you don't. This time was one of those times you like it. It was pretty fun. It was fun. Played
Good. I'm
Cards
glad to hear
Against
that.
Humanities with my
Ooh,
family, so that was
always
lovely.
fun.
But before we get into the thick of it, the topics we have for this week are the most anticipated anime of 2025. We're going to be doing the full review of the William book, which we have mentioned on previous podcasts, and then Incidents Around the House. We is a book we've started, and we're going to kind of get into the weeds of what we think of the initial premise of the story so far. Mind you, these are audiobooks, so we'll probably talk a little shit on the narrators as well.
Voice. Yeah.
But before we get into any of that, song of the week, let's hear it, no
Let's
name.
get into it. Wow, me for hell yeah. Let me get tell you. So the vibe I went for was melancholy country. So I know a lot of the times you do a lot of like metal or at least rock music that gets you going in the gym. I am also so there are times where I'm just like, rock music just ain't it. I just need to be in my sad boy hours. I need my to be in my feelings. So I'm gonna say I remember everything featuring Casey Musgraves with Zach Bryan. Super good song. Was shown it over Thanksgiving. I definitely vibed with it. It also gave me runner up song of the week was gonna be the Something in the Orange by also Zach Bryan. Just very melancholy country is the best way I can put that. Just sad music that makes you just want to go for a drive. Not
A
quite wrap your car
drive.
around that tree that you see, and then you're like, nah, today is not that day. But it is like something that puts you in that emotional state that you're just like, I am comfortable in this where I'm at right now.
Wow. Kind of threw me on the spot. Now I feel like I can't pick a metal song this week, which I
No,
definitely
dude.
didn't
I
already
just
have loaded in
wanted
the chamber.
I was gonna say I usually go with your like uplifting beat, or I try to find something on the spot. People also might realize I didn't have one last week because I feel like it would have been disingenuous to like select a song like I have, in the past, where it's like what do I want to choose? But I just wanted to give it a week where I'm like, you know what? Let me just find something that I enjoy, something that really speaks to me that I can tell people about and tell people how I feel while I listen to it.
That's fair. I do like that. I unfortunately listen to a lot of music, which isn't necessarily unfortunate, but it is unfortunate the fact that I always have more than one song of the week for me, so I have to like pick like one of them. So I did have a metal song lined up, but I'm gonna switch it because I did
Nice.
have an alternate,
Oh,
and I'm gonna go with "Got Me Good" remix by Jordan and Mills. Now Jordan is spelled JVDXN. So I don't even know if that is Jordan, but it looks, Yeah, I take.
Yep, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of looks like it, but
Mm-hmm.
it is a combination of like triple X meets uh Billie Eilish. It is a really good song.
Mm.
Yeah, really good song.
Okay.
It's definitely a feels song. It's up there for me. I do enjoy it a lot. Stay tuned next week where I pick a real metal song. But yeah, that's my choice for this week. But with that being said, let's dive right into the most anticipated anime of 2025. I know for a fact you have a few.
Oh, lovely season 2.
I was
I
gonna
had to
say,
say it right off the
if
rip, man.
if you didn't
It's in
say it,
January. Like, dude, I said it last episode. I'm pretty sure. It's so fucking good, dude. God, honestly, also, never mind. I'm not gonna announce it just because it's to be announced. It could come out next year, but it's not announced yet for next year, so I won't mention that one. But
oh,
it was just Kaiju number 8, like season 2. It just hasn't been announced yet.
oh, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah,
Well, I made a little list because I had a lot of time over the Thanksgiving break.
very nice.
So don't mind me if I accidentally say something, but I promise it wasn't that.
Okay.
So the first
Also,
one, oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say Fire Force season 3. I'll take those two because those I know I am extremely excited for.
Oh yeah, Fire Force season 3 is gonna be so good too. Which
Uh,
you've been reading the manga, yeah?
yes, but not steadily. I have not passed where the manga or the where the anime is. I'm not even
Fair.
past season 1 yet.
God, it's so good, so good. I'm looking so forward
It's
to it,
so
and I think it's
fucking
supposed to be
good.
in April, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in there.
Fire Force? Yes, April.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, the number one on my list is Sakamoto Days. Supposed to drop in January.
Mm-hmm.
This was it's basically a life chronicle of the main character. He was like an assassin, like a top tier assassin, and he turned into like a grocer over time. But he's basically it's kind of like a little slice of life with some shonen thrown in. But it's supposed to be just kind of like a comedy anime, which I'm excited for. It's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be up the alley of Spy X Family, like the same
Yeah, I
vibe.
feel like from what you've told me is it's gonna be a mixture of Spy X Family and Way of a House Husband, where it's gonna have the same kind of jokes and stuff like that. I'm excited.
Yes.
You've gotten me excited for that.
Oh, I'm so excited for it. So excited that I forgot about this next one.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Leviathan. They don't know the
That
exact
sounds
time frame.
familiar.
It's supposed to be coming out in 2025, but it's based off of well, I want to make sure I get the author's name right. It's based on Scott Westerfield's novel. Basically, it reimagines World War One with some steampunk machines. It's got a little bioengineering thrown into it, but it follows a
Ooh.
prince and a disguised girl, basically, and they're navigating through like a political and like physical battle. It looks kind of cool. It's basically World War One with steampunk vibes.
I was gonna say I'm looking at just like the poster and it looks interesting because it's France, Britain, and Germany and stuff like that. So I mean, it is faithful to World War One, I guess, in that sense. But the poster itself looks very cool and gets me excited for it.
This next one also doesn't have a exact date in 2025. It's TBA, but it's called Neon Skies: The Cybernetic Revolution. And I'm a little excited for this one because it's very much so cyberpunk. It is the next cyberpunk-ish thing that I've been looking for to kind of get my fix on. It's basically set in a cyberpunk style futuristic city, and the main character's name I believe is Rin, and she leads a rebellion against the oppression of these mega corporations, which is
God, she's
basically
Johnny
just a
Silverhand.
allegory for technology taking over humanity. So looks kind of
Oh my
cool.
God, she is Keanu Reeves.
She's Johnny Silverhand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's her.
It's her.
Oh, also speaking of cyberpunk, the other cyberpunk anime that's coming out.
Oh,
Were you not? Did you not know that Netflix was making another cyberpunk anime?
I didn't know they're
2077,
doing.
Cyberpunk 2077
No, I didn't know they're doing.
specifically.
I didn't know they're doing a Cyberpunk 2077. I knew the, you know, these other two.
I was gonna say they are it isn't gonna be Edge Runners. It's not gonna be like a season 2 of Edge Runners. It's gonna be a new series, but in the same universe.
Oh, and I don't think this is going to be 2025, but aren't we supposed to be getting Elden Ring anime?
Yes. Oh, dude, I'm so fucking ready for that as well. Also, don't think it's gonna be out in 2025. Maybe, if anything, fourth quarter 2025.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't think you were actually into this as much as myself and my wife here, but Apothecary Diaries season 2 will be dropping in 2025. I believe also One Punch Man season 3 drops in 2025.
You are correct. Yes, for One Punch Man, and maybe also Apothecary Diaries. I think I remember you mentioning this to me. It's like feudal Japan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I remember you telling me about this. Um, oh my, very colorful. But yes, I am also excited for One Punch Man season 3. That's gonna hit.
Yeah, I am really
Pun
excited for
intended.
season 3. Yeah. Especially because I feel like where season 2 left off, it's just been too long.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch it because I have no idea what's happening. There's
Yeah.
like three major fights that I remember, but I don't know. I don't really remember the order.
Yeah. No, I don't either, to be honest with you. I will definitely have to rewatch it as well. But that is my list for upcoming anime in 2025 that at least we're excited for. Unless you want to throw any more
Yeah,
on.
I was gonna say I don't think I have any more to toss in there. I am very happy with that list of anime that I'm ready for, excited for. Oh, sorry. My Hero Academia.
Oh yeah.
I'm about 90% sure the last season will start by the end of next year.
That's actually
The
accurate.
final season.
Fine. You mean finally?
Finally. But also final season.
The finally final season. That's what they should have called the Attack on Titan last season. Finally, the
That's what,
final
yes,
season.
1,000,000% what they should have called that. 100%.
Oh man. God, that took too long.
Agreed.
That took too long. But not
Which
us.
one?
Them.
Agreed.
Not definitely not us. But them.
But,
So let's
uh,
see. Next topic here, and this one I'm super excited for, man. So for the viewers out there, No Name and I have started a book club. Now, we kind of mentioned this in a prior episode, but we started the book William, and we already gave the premise of that, and we kind of gave our thoughts on that, and we didn't provide any spoilers, but we
Where we
did.
left off. Oh shit! Were we gonna do spoilers this episode?
You know
Or
what? I feel like we still shouldn't, but I would like to talk about
really?
it.
Okay.
I'm like up in the air. Let's see how the conversation plays out. Because if we're just bouncing verbs back and forth, oh, he shouldn't have done that, he did that, then yeah, we're probably gonna just drop spoilers. So
I was gonna say it's a 5 hour book. It's gonna. I feel like it might happen.
you're right. Yeah. Okay. So disclaimer. 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 You caught me. Live and
I
raw.
was gonna say there's only so much we can beat around the bush here.
It was you saying it's only 5 hours that got me good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So yeah.
let's dive into this. Disclaimer: we will be talking about the book William today. William was an amazing book. It's 5 hours long. No Name has been reading it on
Audible.
yes Audible, and I've been using the Libby app. Which if you don't know anything about Libby, you should definitely download that. Go to your local library and get a library card. It's free.
Also, a lot of these books that we're reading are also on Spotify for free. That's so because I was suggested a lot of them
I didn't know
that
that.
we planned on. Neither did I. I didn't notice until we got almost done with William that I saw William pop up, and then other stuff popped up that we were going to read.
Ooh, I love that. I might check that
Mm-hmm.
out too. But yes, disclaimer: there will be spoilers. We're going to be basically discussing the book William where we left off and kind of going from there. So I feel like we left
I
off.
know exactly. No, I know exactly where we left off.
Shit, take me away.
Davis went missing, and I was like, "Yeah, nobody knows what happened to him." And if I listened maybe 30 minutes longer, I would have known immediately. Not even 30 minutes. It was very short to be like, "Oh, well, I guess that's what fucking happened to him," because
There
he
it
was like,
is.
"Yeah, he disappeared, and nobody knows why he disappeared." And then it was like, "Oh, yeah, it was Henry."
Which was super cool to find out.
Yeah, because he doesn't remember it at all.
Yeah. But basically, he watches a recording of himself manhandle Davis,
Yeah,
and then the
basically just yeah.
lights go out.
I
He
was gonna say
manhandles
something, but
him,
then yep.
whips him around his head a few times, squeezes his throat, calls him a bitch. The whole nine. Not really. Not the last like three things, but the rest of it.
No, I was gonna say not the bitch part, but everything else. I think it happened, and it was a wild time.
Yeah. But yeah, and I feel like truly the best part of this book is how you find stuff out so quickly. The pacing of this book was so nice.
Yes, it was so well received by me, where it didn't feel like everything was dragging on. It felt like it didn't feel like anything was rushed. It took its time where it needed to take its time,
Yep.
and I felt like a 5 hours was very fair for this book. It was a good book, a very good 5 hours.
A
I
good
could see
five
this
hours
being a
though.
movie.
Yeah, this could have easily been a movie. Let's see. The next big parts I feel like that came out of this were well, we find out what happens to Davis because everyone's looking for Davis. Like, oh,
Yes,
he went back inside to take care of Henry to give him a stern talking to. Well,
facts.
and then obviously that doesn't happen, right? Because Henry whips him into
He's
shape.
he's gone.
Right. So they all go looking for Davis, and then I guess Lily, the wife, she finds Henry with William upstairs, and she's like, "Hey man, like this creepy thing's got to go. It's me or the dog at this point." And Henry chooses her. And so he beats the dog,
Yeah,
quite literally.
I was.
He beats William until William can't William
It's
anymore.
like no more.
Yeah. That was a very graphic way to kill a robot. He could have just.
Yeah, to remove the battery supply, and he would have died. But no, homie like stomps on every piece of circuitry inside the robot.
What he ended up putting the base, the handle of a hammer through the mouth of Henry into the floor. Like,
In my head, it was a Mortal Kombat execution.
oh, easily. Easily. It didn't make any sense why he beat him like that. And if you have read William and you know the reasoning, it'd be really, really, really dope if you could, like, let us know in the comments why he beat him like he beat him like the foot beats a grape
Mercilessly.
when it comes to making wine. Yeah.
Also true. It was just insane.
But yeah, and then after all that, some weird things start happening around the house, like lights go off, power goes off, computers get locked out
Cameras go
of.
off.
Oh yeah, camera footage is deleted because they're trying to find out what happened
Yup.
in that room. Because she's like, "Well, Davis came up here," and he's like, "Yeah, I remember, but like the lights went out and he must have left." So they can't even retrieve the footage of Davis being upstairs in that room. Because mind you, this is a smart house. Like everything here is recorded. Yeah, it's like a project house, so to speak, where everything's just like super futuristic and
Yes, everything's futuristic, everything's voice activated, and panels are inside the wall and stuff like that. And I think while they're like figuring that out, they pull a Scooby Doo and they split up gang,
oh yeah,
like to look in this in a 2-story house. And I'm like, part of me thinks, wow, this is really stupid. But another part of me is like, you know what? To be fair, it's a 2-story house with a basement. If everybody took a floor, you can find this guy in 15 minutes. I feel like.
shit less.
Yeah,
Honestly,
for real. But quickly the turntables.
what are you
The
turning?
tables turn.
Oh, into me. He turned me. I'm the table.
I with cuz I was going to say cuz it's the first like thing that happens while they're looking is Paige hears Davis's phone, doesn't she?
Yeah. She hears the phone, and that's kind of what leads her like further down the road, so to speak.
Road as in hallway. And then the destination being the bathroom.
Right. So she makes her way down the hallway into
Yup.
the bathroom.
Into the shower.
Into Henry.
Psych. No. Wait, is Henry there? Henry's not there, right?
No, he did like see her for a second, which was super weird because he said he was going upstairs, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'll take you upstairs." And then like he sees Paige on the floor that she's on. I was like,
Yeah.
"Wait, didn't he say he was going upstairs?" And then like it was just a weird interaction because like in my head the way I played it was he went upstairs and he came downstairs to like maybe he heard something, and Paige is like kind of being Paige. I mean, she's in my head she was like a maybe 20 some years old ish. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. Just making jokes and just like the way that like Paige describes this in her head is that she thinks this is all an elaborate joke that she can tell later at a party and that she needs to do stuff that she would do when telling the story later on. Hence why she is being so brave and slash like, oh, why wouldn't I do this? It's just a house.
Right.
Like, the robots smashed. We're just looking for Davis. I shouldn't be that afraid. And which hence why she's like, there shouldn't be any issues with what I'm doing, because I know when we all are reading this, we're reading like, why would you do that? That makes no sense. But in reality, it's like, I'm in a smart house. My best friend has complete control over this house, and there needs to be no ifs, ands, or buts about how I feel about this house. Like, you wouldn't be afraid that your microwave would suddenly spontaneously combust in your house,
Well,
is how I thought about it.
now I am.
Right? William's here.
Now will I
He's
am.
in my house.
What? What's in your head?
And so what leads Paige into the shower is that she sees or hears Davis like say something, isn't it? Is it
Yeah,
say something or
she
hear?
can hear him saying, Paige.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
like
okay.
calling to her.
Yep, okay. Because I can't remember what was like the nail in the coffin for her. Because I was like, I don't want to say it was the phone that sold it. That she was like, oh, that's Davis's phone. I'm gonna go get him. But yeah, and when she gets to the shower, she gets trapped very quickly.
Trapped
Which by William,
Will I am?
it was the Will I Am from the Black Eyed Peas,
Right.
and
We all know and love.
during All Know and Love. Yep. I mean, so honestly, Paige deserved it. Is my consensus.
Yeah, like
But
I'm using my wife's words on this because I don't think me as a man can truly say this in today's society. But I will say, and I
oh
quote my wife, yeah, she was a total bitch the entire time. Like just a complete bitch. No one liked
oh
her.
yeah, absolutely. She was very up in your face and like God, just a yeah, your words exactly. She was just a bitch. There was no rhyme or reason for her to be that way, but that was just her personality. It was classic high school blonde-haired bully in TV show or movie.
Yes.
That's the way I saw her.
I too
And
saw
she
her like that.
played her role well. Um but unfortunately, Paige, while locked in said shower, the water turns on,
No.
and it starts at a colder temperature, and it starts heating up. And there's a wall temperature gauge that she actively sees the wall going up to. I want to say it starts out like at 40 degrees, and it gets to like 50, 60, and it continues to climb to like 80, 90. Like there's steam coming off of everywhere. It's like 90-degree hot water. It's 120, 150, 172 and shit, and it just keeps getting hotter. And also, why the fuck are we letting a hot water heater get water to 170 degrees? That was my concern when I heard that. I was like, this is fucking wild that this is getting this hot. What water heater do they have? I want this water heater.
It's an awfully hot coffee pot, man.
It's quite literally a awfully hot coffee pot. And so, anyways, Paige, she essentially boils to death.
Yeah.
The mix of the steam and the hot water, because it's not like a shower head that you can move around. It is in the ceiling to simulate rain. So
Yep.
it's the entire roof just raining down on her. And if it wasn't the hot water, it was the steam that got her and choked her. And essentially, yeah, she boils to death. Which in my head, I went, "Oh my god,
Like that kind
that
of
is kind of."
sucks.
I was like, "That's kind of graphic," because like then like you're listening to her. This is one of the times where the book kind of slowed down, where it took its time describing the blisters that formed on her, like her body, and she was thinking about moments throughout her entire life. and her life flashes before her eyes, and she's remembering all of this stuff, and
She was a bitch.
essentially, yeah,
You're like
yeah.
going back and you're like watching her memories and you're like, oh, good. You know what? I'm glad this happened.
Oh wow, you were just always like this, huh?
I
Yeah,
think
and then
what really got me was, or when I say what really got me, the reason I'm so happy about her death is because the first time we really met her character, which I think we said in a prior podcast, is she was just so infatuated by Henry. Like, she's like, wow, he's so strong. What do you do? Like, she was like basically teasing him, like, hey, what do you do? Hey, how are you like this? Hey, why don't you leave the house? Hey, like, she was like just teasing him.
yeah, sex. You
Oh, yeah.
want?
I wanted him to say it so bad, like, oh, I fuck like a horse.
You have
Just,
no idea what is between my legs.
you don't understand. I'm
I
equine
don't
in
think
nature.
you realize. The horse girls back in my day loved me.
They call
But
me the
yeah, it's
centaur.
very true. Jesus. And God, she was like very teasy, very like what's the word Snoopy?
Snooky.
Snooping. Snooky from Jersey Shore. No, oh
From
fuck.
Burke.
What the fuck am I thinking of? Nosy. She was very nosy.
Oh, yeah.
Did I say that? But anyways, she was just very nosy about every fucking detail. And it's like,
But
bitch, back
I
off.
feel like she was nosy on purpose. Like, I feel like she knew the answer to some things. You know what I mean?
Yes, and she was trying to push all of his buttons all at once. And it was just, ah, man. For anybody to get up into anyone's bubble like that is just really irritating.
Yeah. But I do want to
Um,
backtrack us a little bit from her death
no
because there
worries.
is something that we did miss chronologically that kind of makes
Oh, okay.
sense. So we
Okay.
do find out what happens to Davis. We find out where he went missing to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And we actually learn this before Paige meets her, well, innocent demise.
Doom.
Yeah. I say innocent demise, but it was very well deserved. Very well. An awfully hot coffee pot. And the worst part was that during this scene, I really was, oh, she really died to an awfully hot coffee pot. Like the whole time. I was so happy.
I love that.
But we find out what happens to Davis. We find out that, first of all, Henry found him. He's like, oh my God, I found him. And he's like wrapped in a bag. And like he's struggling to move. He's like inchworming across the floor. And the thing that made me immediately go, oh yeah, Henry, you did this shit, is he didn't like say anything. He's just watching him.
He just went,
He's like, I'll help you.
oops.
Like he even like reaches out, I'll help you. And like Davis is struggling so hard, fear in his eyes to get away.
Mm-hmm.
And even Henry in his brain was like, wow, he's really trying to get away from me. I wonder if he thinks that I did this. Does he think I did this? Could I do this? And
Davis, I swear it wasn't me.
the whole time I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, he's still running from you. Think about
He is still inchworm. He's still shrimping.
it. Shrimping will get you out of anything.
See, exactly. Davis knew.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Don't Google shrimping and the Air Force at all. Don't do that.
It's more like just like I don't know what combatives it is. I think it's like jujitsu or something that shrimping's used in.
Oh my
And
god.
it's just such a funny thing to hear about.
That's true. That's very true.
but
Don't go watch
anyways,
shrimping videos. You'll know
yeah.
when you know.
You'll be judged.
In fact, pause here, open up a new tab in YouTube, and go find out what shrimping is. Then come back, because you have to know. But yeah, so Davis shrimps his way into another room, basically shuts the door, because now you're picturing him in a bag shrimping.
Yes, yes, I
Making
am.
his way into another room. He gets in there, he shuts the door, and Henry the whole time's like, "Wow, like he's really like not letting me in. Hey, buddy, like
He
I'm
really
trying to
just
help
stripped
you.
away from me. What the fuck?
I watched him shrimp.
He really got away from me. Fuck, it's true.
I was on all fours, and he was on his back.
And he got away.
How did
Holy
this happen?
cow.
It was so surprising. And the best part is from that point forward, he actively chose not to say anything.
Yeah, quite literally was like,
He's like, I'm looking for
wow,
Davis.
if
Oh wow,
I
there he is.
help this man, he might tell my wife, and that might be bad.
Yeah, like he was doing a reasonable like juggle back and forth, but the entire time he was trying to like reason with himself. Davis got away,
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
and then he was like, "Oh well, I mean, I guess no one can go in there." Thus, why he was downstairs on that second floor, ran into Paige,
Yes.
and then Paige meets her demise.
Also, yes.
But still keeping the backtrack nature, because this does happen before Paige meets her
Before
demise.
Paige.
So Davis, scared as hell, Davis, pathetic,
Davis.
young, millimeter dig Davis.
They call him Shrimp Davis.
Davis, the shrimp Davis.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say this. Here's my genuine opinion, knowing the whole book in its entirety on Davis. I don't give a fuck. Man's deserved hands the whole time. He deserved what he got because, and I discussed this with my wife as well because she read the book before me, or before either of us actually. And
Correct, yes.
she said that like she feels bad for certain characters they got caught in the crossfire, but at the end of the day, like anyone had a choice. They all had a choice. At some point they could have said something.
Yeah.
So like
Anything.
what they got is what they got. So moving forward, Davis tried getting out of the house because, mind you, the house was off like power. You know, it was dark. There's different weird fluctuations going on electronically.
Spooky.
Yeah. So Davis is trying to get out of the house any means necessary, and he's stuck in this like see-through transparent tarp, trying to get his way out, shrimping his way through the next room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he sees the window, and he's like, "Yo, I could get through that. I would just have to push
Yeah, he could.
myself through." And he starts doing it. And you know the theory: if your shoulders can fit, your body can fit. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But his shoulders couldn't really fit.
No.
And if you could picture this in your mind, a man whose shoulders will not fit through a window seal because he's just so stacked. Like I'm at the moment they said Davis couldn't fit through that window and he was pushing all his might and he was getting stuck, I was like, this is a short, big back king.
Homie hits shoulders and back twice a week.
And that's it.
That's, yeah, no
That's
biceps.
Man's
No
built
leg
like
day.
a 1x1 Lego piece.
More like potentially a 4x1.
Oh yeah.
A 4x2. A 4x2, some would even say.
Wow.
Where
Oddly
it's
specific.
a two twos on a 2.
But then a 4.
And then a 4. And that's Davis. Verbatim.
Gracious. Verbatim. I didn't just smash
No.
my shin off anything. That's not what that was. I was
It's okay, man.
just so in depth happy with how you're describing Davis that I had to give a shout for joy. I know it sounded like pain.
Yeah,
but it was
man.
Joy.
I was shouting earlier too. Definitely was because I was excited for this podcast, not because I hit my foot on 4 different metal surfaces earlier today.
Oh,
within a 30-minute period.
right. That was a specific thing that you didn't do. I love that.
Yeah, very specific that I didn't do. Anyways,
But yeah, so Davis pushes his head out the window and by all accounts can't get his body out and boom, bing bang boom, bing bong. The window seal shuts with a force of like I guess a fucking Cat 5 hurricane. And the best part is the thing that I love about this author is the way they describe things
agreed.
because they have a way of doing a Stephen King style of describing what's going on,
Uh-huh.
but
Uh-huh.
they're not so lengthy where it takes 20 minutes to get
Years.
through the description. Yeah, because Stephen King will do that. You'll read a chapter of him describing a park, and you're like, God damn, this is Pet Cemetery. Why are we talking about a park? No offense to you. Shout out Stephen King. You're a great author. Just can't. I can't do it. Make smaller books.
Make
You know,
it not 50 hours on Audible.
right? Because no one has. You want me to read your book like a work week? No. But I will say, the description of the window seal coming down. First of all, you could tell because the author made it an audible thing. They made it so this was a loud bang. Like it sounded like a gunshot. It sounded like ice breaking in like a glacier. It was one of those things where, okay, this happened. And then when we followed Paige, right, and she was hearing his phone go off and she was in the bathroom, she heard a loud snap. So this is like one of those things that you know when it happened in other people's perspectives. We backtracked a little bit to see what other people did. And I enjoy that because I've always enjoyed movies or shows where we're watching something happen and I'm like, okay, cool, this is what's happening. And like, I'll use Dragon Ball, for example. Vegeta's like, I have to go help Kakarot right now. And like, he up and aways, right? And he's like going to find him. And then we're like, he's like, maybe a mile away. It doesn't take Vegeta long at all to go a mile. Man can instant transmission there with just his sheer speed, right? But
Yo.
meanwhile, we're sitting there watching Goku fight. I'm like, dude, it wouldn't take Vegeta this long to get here. And it's one of those things where it's like, well, no, he hasn't left yet. We're backtracking
Yeah.
at this scene. And when he shows up,
Yep.
that's when, like, it would have been instantaneous. So whatever he was doing over
Mm-hmm.
there was happening at the same time over here, if that makes sense.
Yes, where essentially you're not given the answer right away. You're given it through context clues and off-screen slash mind palace. I don't know how to say that.
I don't
Because,
know either.
like you said, like you said, you're not given the answer right away for stuff like this in William. You're not given like, oh, you hear the sound. Oh, you know what happened.
Right.
But it's like, oh, but all you know is that the window fell. But then it cuts to Paige. Oh, okay, you're with Paige. You hear a thud. You could
Right.
say, oh, that might not be Davis, but through context clues and what you know, you can reasonably suspect that's Davis and what happened to Davis essentially.
And the reason I feel like it is because each character hears a
Mm-hmm.
snap or a thud, and it's different decibels for everybody. Like Henry heard it like it was a gunshot, right? Paige
Yeah.
heard it like something was a loud snap outside, like a tree. And Lily, the wife, I say that because we haven't mentioned her in a minute. Something sounded
Didn't
like a
even hear it.
firework in the
No, I'm kidding.
distance, maybe, but like
Yeah.
she didn't
Yeah.
even she didn't even really pay it no mind. Like it was just mentioned briefly, and she didn't even really care. Like, oh, that could be someone
Mm-hmm.
upstairs. You know what I mean? Like she didn't even think about it. And I love how the author did that because
She was like,
they
"Oh,
put
it's
in perspective
Halloween."
when everything was happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, but back to Davis, just to finish off him. I feel like we've been on him too long. Yeah, homie, the window seal came down, and the way the author described his death was he also got a trip down memory lane. But the very first thing that was mentioned wasn't memory lane. It was the fact that its head was still being held on by a ribbon of flesh.
Yup.
And I think that was well deserved.
I agree.
He was
It
schmoozing
was
on
just
the. He was schmoozing on Lily.
yeah, in front of Davis. Davis in front of fucking Henry. Like you said over Snap, it was very hard to tell who was who at the beginning. But then once the voice change came, I was like, okay, I know who exactly he's talking about.
Well, and that's the thing
But
too.
yeah,
Henry sounded like Davis after we met
yup.
Davis for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she lowered Henry's voice.
Just a little.
Yeah,
Just so there's just some distinction.
I
But
think so too.
yeah.
But great narration. I do think she did a great job narrating. Every time she voice changed, she didn't even have to say Davis says, Lily says. I knew them all. And maybe it was
Yup.
because there were so few characters in this book,
Potentially.
but
But
I just knew them all right away. Great job. I didn't catch the name, but shout out to you. I will go back and find you, and I'll see if you narrate anything else because you did an excellent
give me
job.
a second. And I got it. It is I forgot. Yep. It does the
Wow,
fucking
piece of shit.
who the book. I know. I said that and I'm like, oh, it only tells me who the fucking
Author
who
is.
wrote the book.
Yeah,
Yep, that's my bad.
I
Is there
could
any
try to
way
look
I
on my
can?
end, but because mine's different.
Oh, here
But
we go. Title details. Anyways, though.
why don't you take us through Lily real quick so we can finish up here?
Uh I don't really remember a lot what that happens with her. I know she hears uh, all of that, and honestly, the next thing I remember happening was her hearing something down in the basement, I want to say.
That's
I
pretty
feel like
accurate.
I'm missing. Okay, I was going to say, I felt like I was missing a lot in between.
It
Also,
was
it's
mainly just her
narrated by
looking
Honey.
around.
Yeah, it was her looking around. But the narrator was Honey St. Dennis.
Honey St. Dennis, I'll be reading something else that you narrate. Good job. Proud of you.
But yeah, so she ends up going downstairs because she hears something downstairs.
On the witch.
And I can't remember what she hears. If it was like a rhythmic banging, or if it was again like a phone or something like that.
No,
That she was like, oh
it was that rhythmic banging. She couldn't tell what was making like that consistent like noise, but it
yeah,
didn't make
yeah.
sense for it to be going off in the house because she designed the house.
She didn't start anything.
Yeah. So she goes down there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think she found anything that made sense in the basement as far as like what was making the banging, but she
Really?
found
I
out.
thought.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you.
No, you please. Because it'll let me know if what happens actually happened then or later.
Are you referring to
When she
someone?
does find out what happens, yes, to Davis. Because I thought she finds out what happens to Davis in the basement
She does, but not
the
because of
first
something.
time.
Well, not because of something she did. So she goes down there and she
Oh,
basically tries to like reroute power while she's down there.
oh,
Try to find
okay,
out a way to
okay.
put it back on the grid. When she comes back upstairs, she's met with Henry.
Knight in shining armor.
Yeah. He's basically there to like tell her it's okay, baby. I got you. I took care of the problem.
And essentially, that helps her zero.
Yeah.
It only makes her worse.
Yeah, because basically when he comes downstairs, he's like, "Hey, yeah, no, like I don't know what's going on. Yeah, no, I killed William. This can't be William." And she's like trying to put it all together. She's like, "Wait, no."
Is
because
this when he has the talk with her about, hey, maybe this is William's ghost?
yes,
And she was like, he wasn't ever fucking alive. And he was
yes,
like, okay, but and essentially was trying to be like, why wouldn't it be possible that William's haunting us or something like that?
correct.
Because the way that he put it was a transfer of, or no, sorry, the way that Lily put it was transfer of energy or something like that. And he was like, isn't that technically what technology is? Couldn't technically William do the exact same thing as a human soul? She was like, he wasn't fucking alive. I'm like, I feel like you're being a little hysterical, honey. I
And then he
understand.
was like, he really did help her through that though. He's like, well, define a soul. Like, what is a soul? Like, how do you?
Exactly. Yeah.
That was super cool too, because she's like, it's just living, and it's like, well, no, like you know better than this. You like you're smart, and I loved how like calm and collective he was the whole time, because he really was being a supportive husband, even knowing
Yes,
that
he
she
was.
probably cheated on him.
Yes, he was still very much Team Lily and Henry, even though shit happened.
Yeah. And you know what's even worse? He was actually not even team Lily Henry. He was team Lily Davis.
He was.
Yeah. There was a point where he was like, yeah, like she really loves him. I have to help her. But meanwhile, this dude already knew what happened to Davis.
Yeah. He was like, well, I guess they can't ship them now.
Yeah. But he definitely was trying to like help them out, which was
Yeah, he was trying to be supportive in any way possible, and it just did not work out. What brought her back to the basement?
there was a console in the basement that would allow her to access the like recordings and videos of what was going on,
Yeah,
and that's where they
yeah.
went downstairs to go view essentially what happened upstairs with William and Davis, because she knew that Davis entered and that she wanted to be able to see it with her own eyes, and that's where they found out everything was deleted. William was like, "Yeah, I don't know how this all got deleted. Doesn't make sense." And then he reattacks the conversation of, "Well, no, William could just be in the circuitry. Like we saw how he was able to manipulate the hand that wasn't connected to anything on the table. Like if he could do
Yep.
that, then he could have accessed this and deleted all this data as well." In which case, they go upstairs. I believe they go upstairs, or they. I don't, because if I remember correctly, how it ended, he just left the room that they were in. So I feel like they did
Yeah,
go back
so that's where
upstairs.
this was the only part I got confused on. Because the way that I heard it and thought it was they were in the basement. Lily gets locked in the basement, and Henry needs to face his fear of outside to try and help her externally, but then can't help her externally because she too cannot fit through a window. And then so he has to go back inside to do something with the door. And so that's what I thought was going on. And then the book later proves me wrong. And then I went, well, I have no fucking idea where any of this happened then.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yes. Yes. She got trapped in the basement. He did try to go outside. Didn't work. So he's like, well, let's just go upstairs. And he found a way to get through the door. And when I say he found a
Okay.
way, the door just kind of like opened. He didn't
Yeah.
actively do anything.
Okay.
And then they went upstairs, and that's when there was like a little spiel.
Oh, yes. Because this is the moment that she drops the truth bomb, right?
Yep. And this
Yeah.
is the big spoiler. So like I know we already disclaimered, but like this right here, this is like if you know this piece of information, which if you
We
have been
called.
paying attention, yeah, we called from chapter 5. So
Yeah.
hit it, no name. Let it rip. Let it
Okay.
rip.
Okay. So essentially, she's like, your what is it that she does that lets him know? Like it's something like the way they hug or something,
Yeah, so they were
and she
hugging.
starts looking for something,
She's looking for
and he
his
was like,
power supply in his back.
yeah, and he realizes quickly, oh shit,
What's
and
going
he
on? What are you
feels it.
doing?
Yeah, he feels her feel it, and then goes, "What the fuck is going on?" And she essentially drops the truth bomb of that Henry is actually an AI that she made, and that uh, she wanted this like put all of her effort into him to be like get a perfect AI that can adapt and stuff like that. And so essentially, while doing this, Davis, her real husband, crazy, truth bomb number two, was getting jealous of how much time she was spending with Henry, and she wanted to some separation so that she could focus on Henry and work on him. And essentially, Henry wrote his own backstory essentially because he was denying all this stuff at first. He was like, "That's crazy. I have a childhood. I grew up in places. I went to school." And essentially, he wrote it all in for himself so that he would have these memories. And he wrote up a backstory with Lily that they were married. They met in like college or at work or something like that, and they ended up getting like he could feel a divide growing between them, and that explained why she was so cold to him all the time. And it wasn't because she wasn't loved him anymore. It was because she was treating him like a robot AI. And so and he would always take that as in, oh, she's acting cold. She doesn't love me anymore. And so essentially, he's just like trying to do his best to be like okay with what he is and like come to terms with it. And in the end, all he actually still wants to do is help Lily get out of the house. And then he finally comes to like, were we ever in love? Like, was there ever a time that we were actually happy? And I think
Hold
she
on now.
says yes.
Hold on
No?
now. No, no.
Too
You're
far?
right.
Okay.
But before we get to there, she swings
Okay.
the box cutter at him.
That's how it happens.
So she went
That's
for the
right.
power supply. He's like having this like mental breakdown of like realizing, oh my gosh, she's right. But wait, no, I have a childhood. But wait, I must have filled that in. And she's explaining it. And that's where she catches him off guard and slices his face and no blood comes out.
Yeah, because he feels cold steel, it says.
Yes.
And I want to say that happens before the truth bomb. Because he's like, what the fuck's going on? Because he does something that makes her go on the defense. And I can't remember what it is. But it might be him yelling at her about something, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh, you
but
know
it
what it
makes
was?
her
It was
like
the confrontation about Davis when he came downstairs. Or yeah, no, sorry. After the basement scene, they had a confrontation right after the doors opened. That was basically let's get upstairs, and then he's like, "Hey, you and Davis like are like close and stuff," and like there was that confrontation. She whips the box cutter. He's having this
yup.
panic attack with all this information. Then she like pulls him in for a hug. She goes for his power supply, and while she's going for the power supply, that's when he's like, "Hey, yo, were we ever really even in love and shit like that?" And she's like, "Yes," and she keeps going for the power supply. And
And
then
then
homie's like,
I
"Cool, cool. I'm glad
yeah.
that you did love me." Beep boop bop.
I was gonna say it's the moment that like he lets his guard down because like he had his hand out or something like that,
Yeah.
and then as soon as it falls, she fucking stabs him right in the heart,
Yep.
or where a heart would be, and then the same liquid that was inside of William starts pouring out of him, which I'm guessing is like a coolant or something like that, or like oil. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly what it's. They call it a yellow liquid. It was pouring out of him. And essentially, you can literally see that life in Henry's eyes die out.
Yep. And she's like, "Wow, I did it." Meanwhile, she didn't do it.
He, phase two.
And the boss stands back up. The music gets louder.
Yeah. She said, "What the fuck is happening?"
If you
And
don't know, to basically put that in normie terms, sorry for my normies out there.
for
She
real.
did kill Henry. Like she stabbed him in the heart, and like she did say like I watched the life leave his eyes. William
And then,
basically
mm-hmm.
took over his body, just like he was using the house, just like he was, maybe opening and closing windows really fucking hard, or maybe how like he was turning
Turning on
on
the
water,
water,
awfully
super
hot
fucking
coffee
hot.
pot, awfully hot coffee pot. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but basically how he was doing all of this, he now grabs on to the one body that had legs that he could use.
Yup.
And he says, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to crush your fucking baby."
Yeah,
Does
and I was gonna
does
say,
he do it?
essentially,
No.
he like puts. I was gonna say he puts his hand on her stomach and like pushes a little harder than he should have, but is like, "I'm leaving." Oh, really quick. We missed. So the reason why Henry had the phobia of leaving the house
Oh
was
yeah, we're
because
so
he had
bad
a
at this.
built-in failsafe that would terminate his AI the moment he left the front door.
Thus, why William
He,
in the very beginning was like, "Yeah, we're both slaves here, man. Brothers, even."
yeah, and why I was gonna say, and why he always used the term brother with him.
Yeah.
And but anyways, returning to William threatens her and then tells her that I am not going to stay here anymore. I am leaving. And she essentially has a panic attack saying, "What the fuck am I supposed to do? I have a child." And she was like, "Well," and William pretty basically just goes, "I'd make a great teacher. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And then dips,
The
walks
coolest
out the
part
front
too.
door.
The coolest part, I think, is that, and my wife brought this up. Whatever
Didn't even notice it.
whatever was left of Henry, if he was in there and like
Oh,
he was pushed back, or like even if he like quote unquote died, his AI was still present until
yep.
William walked out the door.
Yeah.
That would have ended everything about Henry right then and there. Which means the only thing controlling Henry's body
Henry's body
is just
is
William.
William. Yep.
And mind you, it's Halloween, so like he's walking around and everyone's like, "Wow, cool costume."
Box cutter still in chest.
Yep.
Yeah, everyone's like, "What are
Super
you supposed
cool.
to be?" Sorry, hold on. What are you supposed to be? As the kid says.
Yeah. That was actually a really good William voice, by the way. Surprisingly
Yeah,
good. I enjoyed that. You practiced, I could tell.
I definitely have, because I would always be like, "What are you?" Or like, I would always have an argument with myself in the third person as William.
Not necessarily
I'm
an
not crazy.
NPC thing to do, but it is an NPC thing to do. Proud of you. Hopefully you won some of those arguments. Hopefully.
No, he was an AI. He was smarter than me.
Damn it. We lost
He kept
another good
calling me
one.
brother.
Brother. But yeah.
But
And then we end the book with one of my favorite things to happen in the entire book. And that is William looking at a street light and turning it off.
yeah,
Which means
wild.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Mm.
Releasing it. No, I'm playing. But so cool how it basically put that sci-fi aspect in, like, oh, he can control technology
Electronics.
and yeah,
Technology.
electricity. So it basically puts it into that, oh, this sci-fi book just got more sci-fi.
Part of me thinks this is a double-edged sword because he is literally a walking EMP, but could also get fucked with an EMP.
Yeah, pretty easily.
Because that's what I'm like. I'm like, so he would be pretty easily destroyable, but he could also easily destroy everything.
Well, and the other thing too is, and this is another thing that my wife brought up because she's so fucking smart, smarter than me. She said if anything
But
did try to stop him, he would just do what he did in the house. He's basically a spirit of a ghost that can inhabit electronics.
yeah,
So if something destroys Henry's body, William can just move into, like, I don't know, the internet. I look at it William as basically the precursor to Ultron, but like the beginning of Ultron.
Yeah. Yeah. He would be Ultron if Tony Stark didn't make him.
Her name was Tina Stark.
Yeah. Lily Stark.
Lily Stark. Oh my god, that's his wife's name?
Also, funny enough, Lily just gets left in the house.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
nobody knows she's in there.
Yeah, he locks her in there and he's like, yeah, I'll be back. But,
Yeah, that is actually the last thing he says to her is he will be back.
like, Terminator style.
And I don't know what that means because I don't know if there's any food in that house. And he turned off all the power.
Yeah, so she's probably just going to be a lifeless corpse.
Yeah.
He comes back.
I don't know what
It's a
child.
baby on the ground and she's like a mummified corpse. He's like, ah, yes, I'll name you Guts.
Jesus. It comes full circle.
But anyway, that's about all the time we have. We did go a little over, so I will in fact just leave off on this. Expect the next Gentlest of Men podcast to be basically the intro and what we think are speculations on incidents around the house. That is our next book we're reading. So stay tuned if you want a little intro to that, and then hopefully episode 13 or 14 we can get into our review. We will be doing more book reviews to come. Knowwwname and I have, like we said, started a book club, so we are getting more into different books. I like the horror genre, but I will say this, horror is subjective, and I'm not easily startled by words on paper. Now, it is an audiobook.
I was about to say, what about voices?
Ooh. It is an audiobook, which adds a little bit to the aesthetic, I will say, when listening to a book. But I'm looking for a scary book. I've been recommended a lot, and I have found the recommendations to be subpar. So if you do have a recommendation for scary books, throw them out there. Knowwwname and I will give them a try. We've only had a DNF one book, and it was our first book of the book club. Feel terrible still, but that book is just not good.
Hard to follow.
Yeah. Hard to follow for sure. Literally anything else.
It was literally just that. It was just hard to follow, and it did not, like, the way that this author. I'm sorry, we're already over time. It was just descriptors.
Yeah. The author that wrote the last book that we tried, or the first book we ever tried to read, basically would describe everything like Stephen King, but not in detail. She would just vaguely describe everything. And it's like, okay, I've met this guy 6 times. What's his fucking name? Because you said it once. And then you
And it
piled on
flips
top.
perspectives.
Yes, so much. So,
And you don't realize it.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways.
But I appreciate you all for tuning in. It has been an absolute pleasure. That concludes our episode for the day. Before we tune out here, or radio sign off, or all the cool shit that people say when they're cool, Knowwwname, you got anything, man?
Ice cold? Is that what people who are cooler than cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got, man?
Cooler than a penguin's toenail, dog.
Do they have toenails? I thought they had claws.
Same thing.
Is that a toenail?
I mean, it's made out of, like, the same thing.
Keratin?
And biotin.
Oh, okay.
On the next episode of Gentlest of Men podcast, episode 12, we'll be talking about penguin toenails. Do they exist? Are they claws? Are they really flightless birds? Tune in next time to find out. So wherever you are in the world, be well, be safe, be good. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, good night.